everyone, trust you're doing okay. This is Ezekiel again. We're right here in Singapore for our Mastermind half-year Global Strategy Retreat. And we did have a session yesterday. Very full day session, about 12 hours. And one of the questions that came out of that session is, what is my role as a CEO, Chief Executive Officer? What exactly should I be bothered about doing? Because we do a lot of things, but what exactly? And the reason why this question, came up is a lot of us in our country start up businesses bootstrapping, right? So at the beginning, we do everything. We're the ones that did the driving, the product development. We did everything. But after a while, you start to structure, you start to put things in place. And the Chief Executive Officer position is one of the inherently vaguest role yet, right? Because every other role in an organization has the title or what the purpose of the role entrenched in it, right? So if you call somebody a Chief Operating Officer, you know exactly what it is. It's supposed to handle execution and operations and the likes. When you call somebody Chief Financial Officer, you know exactly what it means. If you call somebody Chief Marketing Officer, you know exactly what it means. If you call somebody Chief Sales Officer, you know exactly what it means. But then you have this guy that you call the Chief Executive Officer. Now, mind you, every of these other roles I've talked about, whether it's marketing, operations, or not, they're executives, right? High-placed C-suite, high-level executives. But there's a guy that is called the Chief Executive Officer. And now, that guy, remember, started out this business, bootstrapping, doing everything. And so now he knows how to do every other thing, but sometimes might not be really good at doing what he's supposed to actually do. So the question is, what exactly am I supposed to do as the Chief Executive Officer? Now, there are a couple of things, but I'm just going to focus on 4 of them, right? The first of them is vision, right? Vision. What is vision? The ability to see what's next for the business, right? The reality is that businesses inherently grow by creating what's next, right? So if you think about Singapore, for example, they've been just around for 60 years. This place was, like a dead land. It wasn't anything significant, but imagine what it became in 60 years. That is vision. Vision is the ability to see, what could this thing be? You start a business selling water on the street, that could become a full-blown water factory, #1 full-blown water factory in the country. And you start a small thing selling, buns or akara, that could become a full-blown business. You start selling food, that could become a full-blown eatery, right? But the difference between that person selling, something on the street and that person selling something, that has grown, one of the major differences, and not the only one, but one of the major differences is vision. Is that almost everybody starts from ground zero. But some people start and they retain the ability. And I use the word retain because at some point when you start your business and you get so sucked into operation that you haven't taken time to actually think, to dream, to see what the business should become. So your #1 job is to see what the business can become. Vision. So you ask yourself, what could this business be in 5 years? What could this business be in 10 years? In fact, Jeff Bezos said in one of the interviews that he has a small team of people that report to him, and every conversation they have is for what Amazon is going to be in 15 years. That they do not have conversation about what's happening today. Because what's happening today is someone else's job. It's the Chief Operating Officer's job. It's all of these different presidents' job. The job of Amazon, Jeff rather, is to see what the business could become. And you could see the results, right? It moved from selling books to selling everything. And now he's putting, rockets in space. Now he's doing Whole Foods. He's doing all of this stuff. It's built massive. Remember, what he's done is not any different from what some of our, e-commerce people are doing online. But the difference is he had vision, right? He had vision. The second thing you need to figure out, and you need to be the Chief Responsibility Officer for, is the culture. Now, what is the culture? Simply put, it's how we do things around here. How we do things around here. Now, culture, somebody in class said something so profound, because I used to just say that culture are the values that you advocate, right? So you say, oh, we're a people of excellence, and we're a people of, timeliness, and we're a people of precision. And, and I used to advocate that culture is, all the attributes or the values that you advocate. But, one of our CEOs said something yesterday that I thought was brilliant. He said, look, culture are the things you tolerate, right? That the things you tolerate, not just the things you advocate. Advocating things is great, but the things you tolerate determines your culture. Yes, we might say that we want to be a people of excellence, and we might even advocate it, but do we tolerate less than excellence? Do we tolerate mediocrity? Somebody does something that he shouldn't do. Somebody does something lackadaisically. Somebody does something without attention to details. Do we tolerate it? Because if we tolerate it, that is the culture that we're building. We're building a culture that is against what we advocate. Because a lot of us have figured out how to advocate for things. So we are a people, like Martin Luther King, you have a dream one day we're all going to be. Nah. Culture isn't just determined by the things you advocate. It is, in fact, primarily determined by the things you tolerate. If you don't want something in your organization, do not tolerate it. Do not. Right? So the first way to not tolerate it is that you must put yourself, as CEO, you must put yourself under the law. You want everybody to show up early? Show up early. You want everybody to be punctual? Be punctual. You want everybody to act with excellence? Act with excellence. You want everybody, the attribute that you want to see, do it. And do it with such precision, right? Because there's a verse in the Bible that says, you can punish all disobedience when your obedience is complete. So first, you have to be blameless with regards to the values, and then you have to punish very dearly, right? And very sharply and very decisively anybody that acts below standard. And this is very important because that's how you decide the culture of an organization, not just by what you advocate, but by what you tolerate. And this, cascaded into a conversation at the meeting where we're talking about the fact that, I like to have like a family style business where everybody feels like they're family. And I said, well, that's a great thing. But the problem with a family style business is because families are supposed to love each other unconventionally, right? Unconditionally rather, right? So the thing is, you have to think about your business not as a family, but you have to think about your business as a high performance sports team, right? Now, what's the difference? Now, while in a family there's a lot of love, there's a lot of mushiness, there's a lot of, camaraderie and the likes, you could also find that in a high-performance sports team. If you have a high-performance sports team, guess what? There's a lot of love, there's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of respect. But in a family, when somebody's messing up consistently, it's difficult for us to let them go. Because they're family, right? We're supposed to love them unconditionally. We're supposed to keep them. We're supposed to try to change them. But sometimes people do not want to change. And you can change somebody that doesn't want to, right? Sometimes people are not performing and they're not improving themselves and they need to go. But in a high-performance sports team, in a great high-performance sports team, while we all love each other and we're all mushy, guess what? The base of our being together is performance. So you must be able to perform. If you're not performing, guess what? We're not going to renew the contract. It's just that simple. So if you want to really have a great company, guess what? You need to think about it as a high-performance sports team. In fact, you need to get to your office and say, you know what? We're not a family here, right? We're more than a family. We're a high-performance sport team, meaning that while we all love each other, while we're all grateful to be here, while we all want to be here, we all love what we do here, the basis for what we do here is that everybody here has to be able to perform on the task that they are given. And if you're not able to perform consistently and you're not improving, we're going to have to find somebody who can perform, right? And that's how you build the right culture. You build on performance, you build it on not tolerating nonsense, you build it on advocating what you want to do and not tolerating what you don't want. And you build it on you, the leader, living out those values. But lastly, you build it by holding those that are around you to the highest level of responsibility. Because what destroys culture is that the people closer to the CEO, the people closer to the boss, get away with some things, right? They get away with doing certain things. And when every time that happens, yes, what happens? Everybody in the team sees it. They realize exactly what needs to happen. They realize that if I get close enough, if I get big enough, if I do well enough to be close proximity with the CEO, I can get away with whatever it is that I want to do. And you don't want that, right? You do not want that, because that type of situation creates an organization where bad politics can happen, where nonsense is tolerated, and people at the top are allowed to run wild. And at the end of the day, it all comes crashing down. So we've talked about vision, we've talked about culture. The next thing is marketing, right? Marketing. And marketing, not just towards sales, because it's important. Marketing is not sales, by the way, but great marketing leads to sales. But I think about marketing towards building brand equity, right? Being able to, formulate whatever it is that our brand is, and being able to advocate it around the world. And remember, branding is not just about logos, colors, and the likes. Branding is the promise you make to your customers, right? Branding is the promise you make to your customers. So aside from all of the marketing and all of that, you have to have the ability to deliver what you promised. Branding is, I said something, I did it. Marketing is, I said something, I did it, and I go out to tell everybody how good I am at saying and doing whatever it is that I say and do, right? So you want to be able to control the narrative to ensure that the people who needs to know, like, trust you, get to know, like, and trust you. Because if they get to know, like, and trust you, and you have that brand power with them, you've taken real estate in their minds, what happens is that sales happens effortlessly. In fact, one of the top VCs in Silicon Valley said that most often we spend so much time in sales because we don't do marketing properly. That if marketing is done really, really well, it cascades very, very, very seamlessly into great sales. And then the last thing that I'm going to talk about today, and there's a lot more, but I do not have a lot of time, that I'm going to talk about today is networking. Now, notice I did not talk about operations, right? Because if you have the right vision, put in the right people, there should be somebody, or there should be some people taking care of operations, right? And if you have the right culture, that shouldn't be a problem. They should be able to deliver up to standard, right? However, networking is very critical, because here's the truth. Think about it this way. Have you noticed that when you grow your business solely by word of mouth, what happens is that while you get a number of business, you get stuck in the price point? Because if I did business with you for 10 million and I call my friend, I'm going to tell my friend, you know what, he's going to tell you 20 million, but don't worry, I'll help you get 10 million. And then you find that you have a group of 10 million people all over the place. But networking is one powerful way for businesses to shift gears, right? Because here's what, the people who are going to pay me 40, 50 million naira for my service, I might not even know who they are. They might not even know who I am. So my job as CEO is to get into the most important rooms. It's to find a way to access these rooms so that I can access the business that are available in this room. I mean, Dangote wants to put 4,000 CNG trucks on the road. I was standing in front of mine that Dangote doesn't produce these trucks. He's going to buy from somebody. The person who's going to facilitate that sale would only be able to get that job because he's either in the room when that decision was being made, or somebody in the room when that decision was being made has access to him, or he has access to such a person, right? Think about it. The government wants to build a bridge for 100 kilometers. Guess what? The person who's going to get it isn't just going to be the best person that can do it. It's going to be the best person that is known by the people who are in authority. People don't give the jobs to the best people. They give jobs to the best people that they know. So you see, who you know, who knows you, and what they know and think about you is critically important. So as CEO, I always tell people in my community, when you make money and you can pay the bills, the next thing you need to do is to spend every single kobo after you can pay the bills. Spend every single kobo to get access to the rooms where higher quality, where paradigm shifting clients exist, right? You sell pure water, that's okay. There is somebody who one check would guarantee hundreds of millions of transactions for you, right? Whatever it is that you do, there's someone that you can meet that would provide access to business at an unimaginable level, right? And that's the truth. You find that the richest people, what they do is that they go around and they build networks. I mean, Kiyosaki said that. He said the richest people in the world go around and they build networks. Everybody else just looks for work. Don't be the person who's looking for work. Be the person that's building networks. And the reason why I talked about the fact that you have to fix daily income, you have to fix daily revenue, you have to fix paying business expenses is because networking is a long game, right? You don't meet people today and they buy from you tomorrow. The kind of networking that you want sometimes takes months, sometimes takes years. I mean, just telling them of a board that I just joined, and I've been wanting to join such a board since 2016. It just happened. I was just invited to join the board in 2025, right? I mean, think about it, right? 9 years, right? But it was worth the wait. It was worth the strategizing. It was worth the building. But the reality is that it didn't happen overnight. And sometimes it cost a lot of money. I had to show up in a particular place. I had to fly, a couple of hours to be in those places. Sometimes those rooms are freakishly expensive to be a part of, thousands of pounds to be in those rooms. But you're showing up, you're building relationships, people are seeing you, they're building trust. Eventually, you get access, you get business, and those business pay in one transaction pays for, all of the 9 years that you've been trying to figure out. So the reality is, if you keep these 4 things in check, you might be able to find part of what your job is. There's a couple of other things, but time would permit me to do all of it, right? But vision, culture, marketing, sales, and networking is a basic job of the Chief Executive Officer. Looking forward to seeing you at the next one. And I hope that someday soon we'll meet in person. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Dear entrepreneurs and CEOs, did you know that 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years of conception and only a very little fraction make it to 7 figures? Are you currently struggling with scaling your business, customer attraction, customer retention? Then you are definitely not alone. What if I told you that there are proven systems that could turn your business into a revenue generating machine? With over 4,000 businesses transformed and 53 of which are already doing $1 billion in revenue annually, we do not just teach you how to do business, we teach you how to actually win in business. At the Strategy Factory, you get the exact roadmap to scale your business, build a sellable business, attract high-value customers, make strategic decisions with confidence, make the most of the business, and also unlock powerful networking opportunities. Do not let your business become yet another failure statistics. Success is a strategy. The question right now is, do you have the right one? If you're interested to have further conversation on the Strategy Factory with us, comment strategy in the comment section and we'll follow up with you immediately. We look forward to seeing you in the next Strategy Factory happening this month.